Why do we feel an irresistible urge to seek approval from others, even when we know it might compromise our own authenticity? In the modern world, where social media amplifies every opinion and judgment, it has become nearly impossible to exist without being subjected to the scrutiny of others. Many people live in a constant state of self-doubt, adjusting their behavior, words, and even aspirations to fit an ever-changing standard of social validation. But does this pursuit bring real fulfillment, or does it only deepen our dependence on external opinions? According to Epictetus, true freedom comes from understanding what is within our control and what is not. Worrying about how others perceive us is futile, because no amount of effort can fully dictate their thoughts. Instead, the Stoics teach that we should cultivate inner strength and independence, focusing on what truly belongs to us, our judgments, values, and actions. When we prioritize external validation, we risk becoming prisoners of public opinion, constantly chasing approval that may never come or may change without warning. As Marcus Aurelius observed, people are often driven by impulses rather than reason, and their judgments are inconsistent at best. Why then should we allow our peace of mind to be dictated by those who do not even fully understand themselves? True confidence is not built on others' approval, but on self-awareness and inner integrity. When we stop measuring our worth based on fleeting opinions, we free ourselves from the anxiety that comes with it. By practicing detachment from external praise and criticism, we gain something far more valuable: the ability to live according to our own principles without fear or hesitation. Relying on others' opinions to determine our self-worth is a fragile foundation for a meaningful life. The moment we place too much value on external validation, we surrender control over our emotions and decisions. If praise lifts us up, then criticism will inevitably bring us down, leaving us at the mercy of forces beyond our reach. According to Epictetus, our peace should not be built on something as unstable as the approval of others. True strength comes from within, from aligning our actions with reason rather than seeking acceptance from an unpredictable world. The problem is that social validation is addictive. A single moment of praise can reinforce the desire for more, pushing us to seek it constantly. But when approval becomes a requirement rather than a byproduct of our actions, we begin to act in ways that are not entirely our own. As Marcus Aurelius observed, people often lack direction and are easily influenced by their surroundings. If even they are unsure of what they truly believe, why should their opinions define us? Breaking free from this dependency requires a shift in perspective. Instead of chasing approval, we must focus on self-respect. Seneca believed that the true measure of a person's worth lies in their ability to stand firm in their principles, regardless of public opinion. He saw wisdom in detaching from praise and criticism alike, recognizing that neither should determine our course. If we rely on others to tell us who we are, we will always be at risk of losing ourselves in their ever-changing judgments. By cultivating inner stability, we gain independence. The world will always be full of conflicting opinions, but we do not have to be swayed by them. When we prioritize our own integrity over the shifting tides of external validation, we discover a far greater reward: a life lived with confidence, purpose, and peace. True freedom begins when we stop measuring our worth by how others perceive us. The Stoics understood that seeking approval is a natural impulse, but they also warned against becoming dependent on it. When we allow external opinions to dictate our emotions, we become vulnerable to forces we cannot control. One day, we may be praised, and the next, criticized for the very same action. If our happiness is tied to such unstable judgments, then peace will always be out of reach. According to Epictetus, our energy should be directed toward mastering ourselves rather than trying to influence the unpredictable nature of others. People form opinions based on their own biases, experiences, and fleeting emotions, things entirely outside our control. Why, then, should we waste time and energy worrying about something that is not truly ours to manage? Strength comes not from changing how others see us, but from remaining unaffected by their shifting perceptions. Marcus Aurelius saw public opinion as unreliable and often misguided. He believed that the crowd is easily swayed by emotion rather than reason, making it unwise to place too much weight on their judgments. Instead of seeking approval, he advised focusing on personal virtue. What matters is not how we are perceived, but whether we are living in alignment with our principles. When we act with integrity, the opinions of others become irrelevant to our sense of self. Letting go of the need for validation does not mean rejecting all feedback. Constructive criticism helps us grow, but it must be evaluated carefully. Not every judgment deserves our attention, and not every critic has wisdom to offer. Seneca believed that wisdom lies in distinguishing between what is useful and what is mere noise. If we can learn to filter out unnecessary distractions, we create space for deeper self-awareness and personal growth. In the end, the goal is not to eliminate all concern for how others see us, but to ensure that their opinions do not dictate our sense of worth. When we free ourselves from the need for constant approval, we gain something far more valuable: the ability to live according to reason rather than the expectations of an ever-changing world. Letting go of the need for external validation is not about isolation or indifference. It is about reclaiming control over our own minds. The Stoics never advocated for complete disregard of others, but rather for a shift in focus. Instead of obsessing over how we are perceived, we should concentrate on living with wisdom and integrity. By doing so, we naturally earn respect from those who value authenticity while becoming immune to the meaningless judgments of the fickle and uninformed. According to Epictetus, our true task is to align our thoughts and actions with reason, not with the expectations of others. The more we prioritize inner stability, the less we are affected by the chaos of external opinions. Those who chase approval are often unsettled, their peace dictated by forces outside their control. But those who cultivate self-discipline develop an unshakable foundation, one that remains steady regardless of praise or criticism. Marcus Aurelius viewed the opinions of the masses as unreliable and transient. He believed that to concern ourselves too much with public perception is to hand over our freedom. Instead of worrying about what others think, he emphasized the importance of focusing on our own actions. A person who seeks only to do what is right will never be disturbed by the judgments of those who act without reason. Seneca offered a powerful reminder that we must be careful whose approval we seek. Not all voices are worth listening to, and not all criticism is valuable. True wisdom lies in filtering out the distractions of public opinion and choosing to follow our own principles. Those who live according to their own values will always be at peace, while those who live for the recognition of others will forever be unsettled. Ultimately, the goal is not to ignore the world, but to ensure that our sense of worth is not tied to it. When we stop chasing validation, we become free to act according to reason rather than fear. In this freedom, we find the greatest reward, not in how we are seen, but in how we truly are. Breaking free from the need for validation requires conscious effort and daily practice. It is not enough to simply recognize the problem. We must actively train our minds to detach from external approval. The Stoics believed that self-mastery comes through discipline by repeatedly choosing reason over impulse. We strengthen our ability to remain unaffected by fleeting judgments. This is not an overnight transformation, but a lifelong commitment to inner stability. One effective practice is negative visualization, a technique used by the Stoics to prepare the mind for challenges. By imagining rejection, criticism, or misunderstanding in advance, we strip these experiences of their power. When we no longer fear disapproval, we gain the courage to act in alignment with our true nature. As Seneca noted, much of our suffering comes not from reality, but from our anticipation of it. When we accept that not everyone will approve of us, and that this is neither a tragedy nor a failure, we free ourselves from unnecessary anxiety. Another essential habit is cultivating a moment of pause before reacting. Instead of immediately responding to praise or criticism, we should ask ourselves, does this truly matter? This simple question acts as a filter, helping us differentiate between feedback worth considering and mere noise. Marcus Aurelius emphasized that external opinions are only powerful if we allow them to be. When we develop the discipline to remain indifferent to empty praise and unjust criticism, we take control of our own peace of mind. The most powerful shift, however, is in how we define success. If our achievements depend on external validation, we will always be at the mercy of others. But if we measure success by our ability to act with wisdom, integrity, and courage, then no opinion can take away our sense of fulfillment. As Epictetus taught, true strength lies in focusing on what is within our control, our thoughts, our actions, and our character. Everything else is merely a distraction. What do you think is the biggest challenge in letting go of the need for approval? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more Stoic insights on how to live with wisdom and resilience.